Meeting will come to order. Please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Look at this. Public comment. I think we could dispense with the public comment unless. Carol, you have anything to say publicly? Okay. Brian, good morning.
Approving the agenda in minutes.
Oh, thank you, Shar. We have an agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. We have minutes from the previous meeting.
I move approval.
I'll second it.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now, Brian.
Okay. First item I have is to adopt resolution 17-36 for the local bridge replacement program funding grant agreement with MnDOT. This is for the funding for the bridge project that was approved last week, project SAP 028-619-001. The grant agreement is for $197,179 of state grant money. If this is not approved, then that funding will be paid for out of our state aid accounts. So state money versus county money. So I recommend approving the grant. Nothing special, kind of a standard grant agreement that state's been used for a few years.
So moved to approve the resolution.
I'll second it.
Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. Next item is to adopt resolution 17-36 approving the final estimate for project SAP 028-599-087. This is for a bridge replacement on Bush Valley Road. Contractor was Midwest Construction. Project was done last year. This spring there was some repair work that was done. Original contract $235,326. Work approved $325,599.50. So slight overrun on the work certified. A lot of that is actually due to the repairs that were done this spring from vegetation grew last fall, but when the frost came out this spring, some of the hillsides slid down, so they had to go back and reseed some stuff and clean out the ditch.
Is it done?
It's
I
done.
think the road was still
Yep.
closed, wasn't it? Is it-
Nope, so this is the project that was done on the County 21 end
Oh,
last,
okay.
this project was done last fall. There's another project that's being done by Zinke Excavating this fall.
Okay.
Road is back open up now. was
Is
opened
it?
up-
Okay.
Yep, it was opened up prior to the weekend, so that way
Okay.
residents can go
We
through.
were just there last week, so.
Yep, so the pavement's not done on that job, otherwise everything else is done on that job.
Okay.
So should be paved hopefully next week.
Oh, sounds good.
Make a motion to approve said resolution.
Second. Fred seconded it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, then we have two projects I would recommend awarding. First project is project CP 2017-01. This is for some bridge rehab work on Bridge 28512 on County 6. This is just outside of the city of La Crescent, the County 6, right beyond Pine Creek Road. There's a bridge that over the past several years the abutments have been rotating in. Some of that is from that, probably from the soil that's behind the bridge abutments pushing out as you get moisture in that. A lot of really heavy trucks going over that bridge. So the abutments have been rotating in on us. We've been watching this for several years now. I'm trying to figure out what the best solution is going to be. Worked with a contract or a consultant and the State Bridge Office. The engineer's estimate was $118,992. Low bid was $158,594.60. So the bid came in $40,000 over the estimate. We had one other bidder on the job that was at $424,000. So this job is a very tough job to estimate, and it's a tough job to bid because there's a lot of unknowns. What the plan is to dig out all the material behind the abutment and then pull the abutment, well, jack the bridge up and then pull the abutment back. There's 65-foot long piles underneath each abutment. So they need to pull this abutment back that has 65-foot piles attached to it, 6 of them on each side. You don't know how easily that's going to pull back. And then they're going to anchor big concrete blocks, dead mans, to hold the abutment back from coming forward, put some sand in behind there along with some drain tile. Should fix it. We budgeted $150,000 for that. The bid came in a little bit over that, but it's relatively minor over the budget, so I'm going to recommend approving it. The work is anticipated to start right after Applefest. We put up the electronic message boards to let people know ahead of time. It's going to be a detour for the project. There is not going to be a bypass. So,
What would you pull them back with, Brian?
they're hoping that they're going to spring back some on their own, and then they're going to need to wrap, chains and walk it back with an excavator. Just keep tugging on it carefully, hoping not to break anything. And if they do, then they get to fix stuff.
Wow.
That's why there's a lot of risk. There's a lot of unknowns.
Didn't they try piling for dead men?
No, there are a couple big concrete blocks on both sides
And then
with.
rebury them.
Yep.
I've
And
been
then,
hearing comments about this bridge the last couple years too.
Yeah. and
So will they detour down North Pine Creek Road around?
Detour is going to be County 25. However, traffic's going to go where they're going to go.
Yeah,
So
that's
County
right.
25 could get additional traffic. Time frame, we don't know how quickly this project's going to go. It could be 3-4 weeks. It could be a little bit longer.
Okay.
Could potentially be quicker. I don't think it's going to be any quicker than that.
Okay, because I know I will get calls on this one.
Yes, I
did the last time. so,
anticipate
okay.
phone calls on this one.
So you want to take these separately for approval?
Yes.
Brian, right? I'll make a motion to approve with its CP 2017-01.
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, this next one is a project that we've been working on for since spring. Project CP 2017-09. This is our third time of bidding out this project this year. It's a joint paving project between two different roadways, County 15 and County 26. County 15 is from Yucatan over into the Fillmore County line, County 26 from Money Creek over to Winona County. Each roadway is about 3 miles. Initially, we bid out this project as a project where we're going to mill it up, do some cement stabilized base. We're going to add some actual cement into the base. It's going to harden up, and then you improve the strength of the base and do a double chip seal over that project. We did not get a single bidder on that.
How come? You don't.
We don't know.
Okay.
There was concerns on what it was going to be like in the end, and it's something different for this area. It's been done in other parts of the state, but there was concerns, so no bidders. So then what we tried doing is, instead of doing it that way, we'd take the cement stabilized base out of the project. We'd split it up and have try to get quotes to have one contractor come in and mill up the roadway. We'd do some work with some county forces to add some rock to strengthen up the weak areas on each of the roadways, because they do have some weak areas. And then we'd go back and we'd do a double chip seal on top of that. No bidders. So then all of a sudden we're at a point of what do we do next? County 26 could have potentially stayed just the way it is for another winter. The roadway's rutted up, but it rides decent. County 15 had some pretty major issues this last spring. We don't want to wait on that. We did a bunch of work already to widen the shoulders, improve it. We don't want to leave it in the current condition throughout the winter. So we figured the next best option is to bid it out where we mill everything up and we put down 2 inches of asphalt. We got one bid. Dunn Blacktop was the bidder at $799,587.95. Our estimate was $788,888. So the bid came in pretty close to the estimate. The problem that we have is that we had $615,000 budgeted for this project. So because we had to change the type of project twice, we weren't able to come up with a solution to be within our current budgeted amount. So my recommendation is to approve Dunn Blacktop for this project and to allow the highway department to go into fund balance or use our wheelage tax funds, whichever the board chooses, in the amount of roughly $200,000 to cover the overage for this. The county's fund balance has gone up, or the highway department's portion of it has gone up over the past several years. This will be the first year I've asked to use fund balance since I've been here. It's gone up substantially more than $200,000 in that time. It's good use for that project, or for that funding.
Right. Do you think there's just so much work going on in the area that that would be why why people aren't bidding these?
On the paving side, we always only get one bid. On the seal coating side, we usually get 2 bids. And my guess with the first job is that there is just, because it's new to this area, it's been done up in McLeod County, other counties in the northern part of the state, that there was just too many unknowns that people didn't want to tie their name to that project. We came to the second bid because of the delays we got on the design, on how much cement to put into that project for the cement stabilized base. It delayed us enough, along with the month-long bidding process. By the time we got the next round of plans put together, the seal coat work and most of the milling work, those contractors were tied up. They don't like doing seal coating once you get into September. So kind of got late in the year for them.
Okay.
And then there's also this concerns on the double chip seal on a county road. It still causes some concerns. Is it going to hold up? These roadways are low volume roadways. So County 15 has 70 vehicles a day on it. County 26 has 150. That's very low for a county roadway. Almost to the point that you just mill it up and turn it back to gravel. Turning stuff back to gravel is never easy to do. You have the public that you're working with, you have the maintenance. These roadways are both in areas that we don't have any other gravel county roadways, so we're driving equipment all the way up to an area that we don't have any other gravel roadways. So we didn't want to go that route. So that's kind of the...
So, so you're looking for approval of the bid and then approval to use fund balance to even out the payment.
Yep, and we've gone through our county highway accounts, all of our funds as much as we could to try to figure out, is there other savings that we have this year that we can use instead of tapping into fund balance if we think we're going to use our funds up completely. So we don't think that's an option. We think we're going to need to use the $200,000 of fund balance.
Or the wheelage tax should
Or the
cover
Yes.
quite a bit too.
Yep, and that's what the wheelage tax is for, for
roads.
roadways.
Do we know offhand what's in the wheelage tax fund?
Wheelage tax, I believe we've collected 3.5 years worth of funds. We've been getting about $200,000 a year. So wheelage tax is at $600,000 to $700,000 in that account right now. It's going up another $100,000 every 6 months. Fund balance, I believe it was at Carol might know, but I believe it was at like 7.4, 7.5 million, I think is what the last number I saw with that. Granted, some of that money can't be, or a lot of it can't be touched. Some of it's inventory, some of it's our required fund balance amount.
Okay. Carol, I couldn't read that when you held it up.
You couldn't?
No.
Inside your binder, budget binder, is the summary of the 2016 fund balance. Not yet. Final, it's the preliminary, and wheelage tax up through December 31st is $615,080.
Would you have a suggestion on which to tap?
The wheelage tax, I think originally was slated for $249, and it probably would be best to keep that there and use just the undesignated fund balance.
Okay.
I talked to Brian at length about this, different options, pushing it back or trying to go with state aid money instead of just state money or just county money. It's no good solutions. If we push it back, we're pushing other jobs out of the picture. Waiting till next year, it would take till next year to go through that process of getting the state to approve for state aid funding. Probably still even have to do more work than we plan on to get state aid dollars. So I would recommend approving it after discussing it at length with Brian.
Is that a motion?
I'd like a motion to approve resolution, or the CP 2017-09, and to take it out of the fund balance.
I'll second it.
Other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Mary? Good morning.
I'll sit up here close. There's also a couple public copies here available of the document that we'll be reviewing with you this morning, Commissioners. We did send this out with the agenda bill, and this is the same document that you received, along with a little bit of color in it. So hopefully that will delineate some of the things that we're going to be visiting about this morning. So what we've done in the past, at least since I've been here, is provide the board with this type of a document that I refer to as our department review. This is something that's generated internally from us, and it really does serve many purposes. First of all, really, I believe that it really keeps us accountable to you and to our constituents. As well as it's a time to really review those things that we've accomplished, and it also gives you kind of some highlights for some upcoming things that initiatives that we're going to be looking at and concentrating more so the next year to two. Gives you a little bit of data to work with as well, and I think a real significant piece of this is it really gives you some context as you go in and start looking at kind of our budget numbers and moving forward that way. The format is really similar as to what it's been in the past. I know we have 3 new commissioners that maybe haven't seen this type of a document before, but anyway, I'm not going to go through it word by word by any means, but I do want to recap and highlight some things that are in here, give you some time to ask any questions that you might have of us as well. So the format, I'm just going to start here on page 2. And we always give you kind of the mission statement, vision elements, core values, a little bit of a description there about our programs and our services. Our essential services and programs are really that about improving the health of our community. And we're always working to make Houston County a safer place to live, to work, and to play. At the heart of our work in public health is really that of primary prevention. We look often and many times at what are those things that we can do or put into place before things happen. We know that that's the most significant portion to really reduce any expenses and to keep people healthy. I think a really significant thing, you know, I've invited staff to attend just to listen and to hear. You know, I just can't say enough about the stellar staff that we have. Many of them are invited and sitting here this morning with us. Their contributions, the work that they've done time and again, it's really oftentimes above and beyond what's asked of them. This last year, we certainly had some challenges as far as exiting home care. It's their work that really made this transition smooth. So I can't say enough about the work of our department and our staff. The second, on page 3, this is a new piece that we added this year, is just to give you kind of a real high level of some of the things that happened legislatively that impact us, and some significant things that impact us. There was that special session, and you know that there was that humongous bill that was released just hours before the passage, and there were some things in there that necessarily hadn't really been anticipated. As far as our local public health grant, you know, these are the dollars we use kind of community health services and local public health interchangeably. And our local public health grant, despite some attempts to really increase that, we had a lot of work that was put in by the Local Public Health Association and the Minnesota Department of Health to attempt to increase that grant that comes to us. That grant for Houston County is right around $91,000 a year. And with those dollars, even though we have the ability to decide where those go, you know, there's an awful lot of strings that come attached with that under the Minnesota 145A, which is our Local Public Health Act. So I'll talk a little bit more about that kind of as I move forward here. But so there was no increase, there was no decrease, and fortunately there was no delayed payments. There was, as the legislature was trying to balance their budget, there was some talk about delaying payments for up to a year of those local public health grant dollars. So that did not occur. So I guess we're grateful for what we did end up with. Our SHIP funding, you've heard us talk a lot about SHIP in the past and those activities. That was fully funded statewide at a $35 million per biennium, with some new grants to be used for opiate abuse prevention, and that certainly is needed. We're not sure how that will all roll out or where that will land, but kind of watching that. And I'm going to just skip down to the Public Health Response Contingency Fund. I think you've heard me mention that at our Joint Board of Health, that there was a one-time $5 million funding to establish for public health activities that are required to protect the health and safety when there's some type of an outbreak of communicable or infectious disease. And that was basically in response to a lot of the measles issue that was happening kind of around us. So, but likely for us, the biggest impact to the counties for the next biennium, and that's in this highlighted places with regards to min-choice assessments. You've heard us also talk probably ad nauseum about our min-choices assessments. Those min-choice assessments replaced a previous assessment that we referred to as the long-term care assessments. That is a mandated service that both Human Services and Public Health must provide. And what ended up happening is a $22 million shift to counties, and that started in July. The impact for us will likely be on the public health side about $20,000 or so going into 2018 as well. It started in July of 2017, but there's an 18% cost shift to counties of the state shares of the program. So we're going to see some reduction there. And that definitely has some impact for us budget-wise. Just to talk a little bit more about, in the next part there, about local public health grant. Again, that's that 145A that we refer to, that really mandates what Minnesota's local public health agencies and those core responsibilities that we need to fulfill. Some concerns really, I guess, that I would have there is just that more and more we're seeing greater disparity between agencies across the state with our capacities and what we're able to do in really making sure that we can fulfill all of those things that are required of us. We're going to, one of the initiatives I'll speak a little bit more to later on is just, we're going to really take some time and lean in hard to see what are those things where we really do fall short, and what are some ways to kind of remedy that. So there's a lot there to kind of be paying attention to. Our local public health grant, I guess what I would just finish by saying is that it is underfunded, and that isn't news to anybody. It has been for many years. In total, nearly half of local public health funding is generated locally, and that could either be from fees or reimbursements from services that provided, grants, contracts, that kinds of things. And then just the last sentence on that page 3, it just talks about over the last 12 years, Houston County Public Health has realized we've had about a 13.5% increase in dollars, which really represents about a 1% increase per year. And of course, with that 1% comes many more mandates that we need to assure. I'm going to skip on to page 4. Again, this is the same type of format that you've seen in the past. You just give you a highlight of the department structure currently, and we have one vacant public health nurse position open that's we'll be visiting with you about when Tess comes in this morning. And also you can see the department staffing levels below there. 2018 estimates, we're estimating and have budgeted for 11.25 positions. This is down from our 2017 of 18.53 positions, and primarily that is due to our exiting of home care. All right. On page 5, I just want to spend a couple minutes in talking about those program and services deliverables, those things that we have accomplished. Again, the list that you see here is not exhaustive, but certainly highlights some of those things that we're really proud of that we got done in this last 8 months or so. I won't go through all of those, but I will highlight a few. Under the grant accomplishments, we have a new grant that was secured from SMIF, the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. That implementation starts in 2017. It's a collaborative grant that was written with area libraries, and that is for 2017 and going into 2018. Under the partners accomplishments, community input and involvement, about 2/3 of the way down, we did with Human Services and the County Attorney's Office provide the Bridges Out of Poverty training, which was really well attended, and it's got some great feedback from folks that attended. There was, I think, close to 100 people from area counties as well as our own staff that attended. And then the last bullet there under that category is we just more recently hosted the Pitch the Commissioner, which was a community-wide event that was really for us, I think, well attended with some of our partners and public. And then under staffing, departmental, and financial accomplishments, as you recall, I believe we would say that there was a successful handoff of the interim Human Services Director job duties. Had those for a good 6 or 7 months. We also spent, with the assistance of a couple of commissioners, formed and led the Home Care Feasibility Study Group, which took some significant time and really leaning in hard and doing due diligence on looking at our home care operations and what we could do with that. And the result of that was that it was determined to discontinue our home care program, and a real credit to our staff and to our partners in that endeavor that those clients have been transferred. We surrendered our license August 11th, and those clients have been transferred to other agencies with essentially no disruption in service for those nursing and home health aid services. The other thing that we are busy working with, Human Services, formed a joint leadership monthly meetings across our departments with our supervisory staff. And I think the last bullet that's worth noting is just we completed the every 3-year Department of Human Services Lead Agency Home and Community-Based Service Review, and that's significant and with good results there as well. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time in talking about page 6 or 7. It's, again, we give you those key activity indicators which are really the quantity of services of some of those things that we pay close attention to, as well as some key outcome indicators. There isn't necessarily for this year anything real significant here. Some of this information is only collected every 3 years, but nonetheless it does bear watching to see, really what are those performance metrics, and what are they, how, as far as effectiveness and efficiency and some of the results of the things that we really put some time and energy and effort and funding into. I do want to spend some time, and I know that the clock is ticking here, but I do want to talk a little bit about some of our strategic initiatives moving forward into 17 and into 18. And what we've done is we've highlighted in green those strategies on page 7 and 8, I guess through page 10 really, are the initiatives that were in the previous department review that have been completed. Those are in green. The red ones are the strategies that are pending that we're kind of halfway through or 3/4 of the way through. And then the black ones are really the new strategies that we're going to be beginning to implement into the end of 17 and into 18. So I won't spend much time in looking at the green ones, but we've got 2 initiatives there on page 7, and then moving into page 8, you can see there's a lot of green. There's a lot of things that have been accomplished in 17, end of 16. Again, I would just iterate the home care program. We managed to, I think, do that and do it really very well. I would also like to let you know that since that exit in the middle of August, all of our clients that have case management services have been checked on, or there's been telephone calls or conversations with those clients to assure that they are in fact getting the services that we intended for them to receive. And we've had, for the most part, clients have been happy with their services, some more satisfied with services. I would say some of the less than what we would have preferred is certainly that people, it's difficult to have these kinds of changes when you've had these relationships and rapport with some staff and an agency for lots of years. So certainly for some of our clients that has been a bit of a challenge. As well as we're hearing and we'll be visiting with some of our providers about just the backup plan. So when a client gets notified from an agency that they have a home health aide that's ill, sometimes there isn't necessarily the best backup plan in place. So we'll be visiting about that with some of the other agencies in the area that have accepted our clients. In our case, they're used to our staff and our schedulers finding another backup. We were their backup plan, so we'll be visiting more about that. Let's see if there's anything else there on that page. All of those things we have completed. You recall the second to the bottom bullet there with the Minnesota Immunization Information Connection Regional Coordination. We continue to serve as the fiscal host for that 11-county region. That's worked out really well. We have some administrative staff that are working to get those duties done, and that brings in about $11,000, close to $12,000 a year to support those endeavors that are needed to be accomplished. And the last bullet there is we now do have 5 Min-Choice certified assessors on our staff. That might not sound like a big thing, but it is a big thing when you look at the training requirements and the ongoing training, as well as completing those very lengthy assessments. It's a big endeavor to get that accomplished and done. On page 9, the things that I just wanted to visit a little bit about. As you see, the first bullet there talking about some internal quality improvement process, as well as the third bullet down, core competency development. Those do kind of align in a way that we really are, it also helps us to kind of look at really assessing our capacity and what are those things that we're doing really well, where are those some things that we need to improve upon. And again, our internal quality improvement is a joint quality improvement team effort with Fillmore, just really looking at those improving workflows, processes, customer satisfaction, and we've got some things in mind that we're going to be paying particular attention to, as well as in the core competency development area. You're hearing a lot these days about national certification, agencies doing that kind of thing. I mean, we're not ready to go down that road, but nonetheless, that state is really looking for agencies to begin to align more closely with that initiative. Just looking at the red one there, the first red one on that page 9, Minnesota Organization of our MOFAS, Fetal Alcohol Syndrome Grant. That grant will sunset the end of, and we'll be completing that the end of 2017. That's why that continues to be red, but those duties are, and grant requirements are being fulfilled. The next red one down is WIC, just looking there at doing some more with regards to WIC outreach. And remember, WIC is for pregnant women, nursing women, infants, and children up to age 5. It is a nutrition supplement program. Just a reminder that it's a USDA program. It's not an entitlement program. Sometimes it gets confused and put in that category, but it is a USDA program. It's for nutrition education. Nationally, on average, WIC serves an estimated of about 60% of those who are really eligible. So we know that there's a lot of folks that are out there that are eligible for this, that just haven't taken advantage of it yet. And we have seen locally that our participation has decreased some by 23%, and that is of concern. We have some ideas why that might be, but we are going to be looking at some new outreach activities and really increasing our participation between 2016 and 18 by about 3%. A new initiative next to that also is with regards to WIC and self-scheduling pilot. Again, not only is our participation decreasing, but we're also seeing a fair amount of no-shows during regularly scheduled clinics. So we're going to be implementing a tool for participants to call in and to schedule their own WIC appointments. And so we're hopeful that what we're learning from others that have done this, and some early data suggests that this business model really does decrease participation no-show rates.
Mm-hmm.
Mary?
Yep.
There's no charge to the client for the WIC program?
No, there is not.
And yet they're not taking very good advantage of it?
No. You know, it's, we've noticed that, you know, one of the things that happened when Congress increased some food support, that we have seen some decrease on this side, on the WIC side. You know, when somebody makes a WIC appointment and comes in, oftentimes there's an awful lot of, it's more time consuming. I mean, you know, they're getting some education. Oftentimes depending upon where they're at in this process, it involves children getting poked, getting their hemoglobin checked, and sometimes that is a deterrent. We've done what we know to do as far as being more available to people after hours. But, you know, we're hopeful that this self-scheduling might really work around people's work days better than some of the things that we've done before. But we're really looking at trying to accommodate people. But yes, there is no cost, no charge for that. And it's a terrific program. On page 10, just looking there, we've already visited some with you about becoming family child care licensor. We're well on the way there with it. It's an initiative with Human Services, and that is well underway. A couple other things that are going to be new for us, this Smith grant, the Learn, Read, Grow Every Day to Succeed initiative. We have public health nurses that are will be working with daycare providers and parents to screen preschool children and provide some feedback to them about the activities that promote really some school readiness. Let's see. And I'm going to pop down to the min-choice assessment piece of it. Again, we're looking at kind of a joint initiative. This is you know, we've been taxed some with the fact that the min-choice assessments do take so much time, and that we've been getting so many referrals to do the min-choices assessments, as well as just the intake process for that. So we're interested in looking at what others have done and been successful at, maybe other counties, as well as internally, and how we can really tailor a business model that meets much more of the needs of both health and human services. So we're busy working on that. And then the last initiative, again, is just really looking at, and I spoke to a little bit earlier about those core public health activities. The Department of Health has been interested in they're working with their SHAC work group and have developed a document, a rather lengthy document, to more highlight and describe what are those things that counties are really mandated, in particular public health departments are mandated to do, and to clarify some of that language that's in the statute so that we really understand. You know, we really are challenged. You know, if on a day-to-day basis, this may not look that way, but, you know, if we end up with an active case of TB, or if we were to end up with an active case of measles, that would really tax us. I'm not, you know, we need to see how we would get that done. It might involve some more cross-jurisdictional kinds of conversations and agreements to do that. It might involve some more staff training to do that. It's a significant thing that we need to be considering and looking at.
Mary, can we just have the board go through the last couple pages
Yes.
on their own, just to stay on?
Yep.
I would have appreciated you being a little more thorough in your.
I could be thorough.
No, thank you. It's been very interesting. I have two questions.
Yes.
though. One is, first, a thank you to department staffing levels for obviously doing more with less, and appreciate those efforts. My math shows a salary and benefit reduction of $372,000. We've spoken before, most recently when I got cut off going down the hill, but what would be the major item or items that would cut into that so dramatically that it will not result in a savings in the end?
Right. Well, the min choices, for sure.
Okay.
And the other thing is, when you look, if you look back at page 4, is, you know, you see the salary and benefit line there, and it looks, gosh, that, you know, why isn't there that close to $400,000 savings there? Remember that when we were providing home care services, that we were collecting revenues for the services that we were providing. It's just the revenues didn't cover the expenses, and you don't see the expenses here. So, you know, primarily, you know, we're looking at, I think, min choices and again, we're looking to reshift and see what kinds of things that need to be done internally, administratively too. It's really, you know, when we first started having these conversations about, you know, exiting home care, that we really weren't able to say there is going to be X amount of savings, because we don't know what else is coming at us.
So we can still look at some possible
Well, I
shifting.
certainly am hopeful, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then my second one is more of a suggestion. But the communities that cradle literacy, after our libraries presented, it struck me how much they do that would impact social services and
Absolutely,
and,
they do.
and health. And so just wondering if there couldn't be some cooperation on that particular one with
Yes, they actually were written into, yes, Commissioner, they were written into the grant, and so they will be, the grant was for $20,000, some dollars, all right, that's just $20,000. And they actually, each library will receive some stipend for some work that they have, some ideas internally, yes.
Because they're an
absolutely.
enthusiastic group, and if
They are
they can
enthusiastic.
help out in those
Yep, and
areas.
they are a
okay.
critical resource for us, you know, anytime that we have some type of initiative or work that we believe that they should be included in, that's where we go.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone else have questions for Mary before? Okay, thanks
you.
very much.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Tess? That's interesting. Right. It's good discussion.
Yes, I'm back.
Good morning,
Is
Commissioners.
that bad penny thing we hear?
Sort of.
Trust everyone had a good weekend. I am moving my agenda down to public health. And we have a resignation of a public health nurse, Laura O'Haron. The resignation is effective the end of the business day, September 7th, 2017. And we wish to thank her for her services to Houston County. And would you like to comment?
Yeah, I guess we'll accept her resignation. It is sad that we'll be losing Laura, but she's found a really nice opportunity for herself. And so at this time, it would be our request to not ask for a replacement. We hold that position in the budget, but again, with all of the things that have been happening and our exiting home care, we really want to look to see where we might have some capacity internally. So that position is in the budget. We anticipate to keep it in the budget, but we're not asking for a replacement at this time.
So no action needed by us?
No, we need an action
I
to
mean,
accept.
other than accepting the resignation? we
No,
don't
we're
need to-
just, that's it.
Okay.
That's why there's not a second line item there on
Gotcha.
the agenda, Commissioner.
I'll move to accept the resignation of Laura O'Hearn.
Second.
And to thank her very much for
Absolutely.
everything she's done.
been
I know
great.
she's a great employee, was.
Yep, second.
Okay, anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
Good.
you.
Yeah.
We also would like to ask to approve the mobile computing device stipend of $50 a month for Audrey Stagmeyer, who has assumed the oversight of the peer breastfeeding program and would need the use of her smartphone. So with that,
I'll make a motion to approve the stipend for.
Second.
Questions, comments?
I'm assuming she's out away from her office more than she's in,
yes, and
hence needing the email portion of the smartphone deal.
It was previously a responsibility that Laura had.
that
Oh, I
Laura
see.
O'Haron.
Okay, so she's, okay,
Right.
gotcha.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Mary.
The Human Services agenda item for the potential MOU with AFSCME is, continues to be on hold. So stay tuned. No news there. And then
You're just waiting to hear from them, is that?
they're going to, they want to have I don't know if they've held the meeting later last week or if it's going to be held in the near future. I know they were waiting to have a meeting with their full membership to discuss it and vote on it. I have responded to all the questions they had regarding it,
Okay,
the questions to date anyway, and
just waiting to hear.
waiting to hear if there's any feedback or approval or concerns from the
Okay,
membership. So, if it is approved, and I believe when it would be appropriate to make it retroactive
okay,
to the date of the appointment of the Children's Services lead.
okay.
Okay. Next is the assessor would come up. We have successfully completed our search for our second appraiser trainee. And so we are requesting to approve the hire of Lucas Onstad as a probationary appraiser trainee. That's a B22 at step 1, be effective on September 14th, conditioned upon successful completion of a criminal background check. This individual has a varied background, and as far as work experience in areas, it's included some construction, estimation of construction cost, as far as has some experience with ag land, has experience with wooded property in various capacities. So although no direct experience with regards to assessment and real property valuation, we felt his background, we were very impressed and pleased with his interview. Would you like to comment further?
I agree with everything she said. I think that he really interviewed well, and I felt with his background that it was a good opportunity to pick somebody up who's hopefully going to be with us for a while.
When's the next opportunity for training?
Won't be until, I'm believing, early next year. We will have some other trainings, not directly through the state, but we do in October have a training with our Vanguard program that it's a user meeting training that I'm planning on having us all attend. But it won't be training as per working towards the CMA. We've missed the summer ones.
Are there things that in the office?
Oh, yes, we have.
can-
We still have to get all our Vanguard codings in. By the end of the year, we still have to do our numerous new constructions.
So those are things that he can,
Yes, yes, there's plenty of things for him to do.
The in-house training, it will be effective immediately.
right.
The state organized training is the calendar she's referring to.
Right.
In fact, the current appraiser trainee has already started on some in-field training.
Yes, like
So,
Michelle has started going out and learning, and Aaron would do the same.
which contributes towards that CMA.
Okay.
Yes, because they do need a full year underneath us before they can get their CMA, so it still starts.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the hire of Lucas Onstad.
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Secondly, and I will pass this out, I heard only late Friday, but not in time for the board packet, back from Vanguard about a proposed agreement. And it's on our standard contract format. This is to help us catch up for the backlog of new construction we have. We are waiting to hear from Vanguard for their insurance certification. However, I wanted to bring this forward even though we don't have the insurance certification yet. I expect that sometime this week. The Vanguard, and otherwise I would have sent it all in the packet to you. What this is for is we have because of staff turnover and because of various demands on the office, we have a backlog of new construction valuation that needs to be done, and it's my understanding the Department of Revenue has requested that that all be completed prior to the end of this calendar year. And Vanguard, this agreement is for them to provide us with 80 hours of service. If 80 hours is needed, I expect it will take all 80, at $120 per hour for up to $10,000 to complete that work. And do you want to make any comments about it?
Oh, I think you're-
Time is of the essence, since we have this demand coming from the Department of Revenue. And so we would like to be able to, upon receiving their insurance documents, enter into this agreement, pending receipt of the verification of those documents. And with the limited, the new staff in the office, we're limited. We are not, I say we, the office is not able to do this in the timely fashion that is being requested.
Would this be able to stay within budget? Would this,
That is not clear that it would be within budget because of the payouts we've had on the retirements. But it is not an option either. So we're trying to figure out how to comply with what the state is requesting.
we don't know where we'd sit compared to, we're missing a few people for a little while, and
Well, for
Payouts,
all of the
I don't know
savings
what we're
we
sitting.
have, starting at step one, and the savings we have from the replacement of the assessor, there is some savings there as well. I believe, and I spoke with the finance director about it, but because of the retirement payouts, that we
Basically
just
a
don't
wash
count
there.
on that, because it's at best a wash, at best.
So we need to come up with another 10,000 from some fund.
And we can do a more detailed analysis of it, but I think, based on the recommendations that, in looking at the last quarter,
It's going to be close.
it's gonna be close.
We just,
like you said,
Don't
there's not a
know
lot of choice
exactly.
anyhow, but just wanted to see financially where.
certainly
we're at.
that would be the first choice, but it's going to be close.
I would say so moved to approve Vanguard, but there is a contingent on, they still have to supply something yet, right?
And because this body doesn't meet for 2 more weeks, I appreciate that, because we do need to get going once we do receive that.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I just wanted to just ask a question. At what point, if this actually does run over budget, do we have to make a decision on where the money comes from to make up the difference if there is one? At what point do we have to make a decision on how we cover the deficit in the assessors?
I'll defer to the finance director.
I guess it would be upon completion of the contract and projection out from there as to what we still would have for expenses, so.
I think he's.
Okay.
Oh, I understood you were asking if there wasn't a deficit, if there was a deficit to cover the $10,000. Does that have to be?
At what point do we need to make a decision as to where the money comes from? Okay, that's my
Prior to the
question.
end of the year.
Yeah, okay.
Our
Okay.
budget variance isn't.
We will keep this body informed, how we're proceeding and going forward. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta vote on it.
Yeah, we have to vote, yeah. I would just comment briefly that it's unfortunate that we have the backlog, but I'm appreciative of Cindy and staff for moving forward to correct this. It was, again, rather we weren't here, but we are, and we're mandated to get our act together, so to speak. So I think this is a path we need to take. Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will just add a comment to that, Commissioner. The current certified appraisers have been working on this. So it's not like that they've set it aside and haven't been addressing it. It has been addressed, and I think Carl's really been working hard on it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Cindy, you may want to stay up here. The next and last item on our agenda is the staff augmentation agreement for the attached, which was attached to your agenda for GIS services. Mr. Ryan Smith is here from Schneider to stand for any questions you may have regarding the agreement. I appreciate hearing from both the recorder, Beth, as well as Commissioner Walter with regards to how does this fold in or interplay with our current agreements that we may have regarding current support agreements. And so I brought this to or to Ryan's attention.
Don't say Mr.
Just to Ryan's attention. And in your agreement, you will notice that in red, this agreement does incorporate those previous agreements into it. And on the second page, towards the bottom, gives prorates the payment for this year, also provides a credit for the payments that have already been received for those support items, so that credit spent will come back to us. So there's not an overlap
Tess,
of services.
Where's this document?
I can't find it.
Me neither.
This one? I can't tell you then.
You need something copied.
Could you? Yeah, that was sent forth. It was sent forth.
Copy machine to the rescue, quite soon, yeah.
Well, then we'll go through this agreement briefly with you, and I will just do a quick overview. This is the agreement that is discussion that I believe the board has had previously. Yes, I thought this was forwarded last Thursday, so you may want to check back. It is for support. Excuse me, let me back up here. It's for professional services. It is a multi-year contract. It is 4 years. The nice thing about the 4 years is it freezes the rate for us during those 4 years. It's for $33,600 per year for, I believe it's 144 hours of professional support service, in addition to 1 day a month on-site training for staff, any staff who may need to use these services in the course of their daily work. There is a 30-day clause in it, so although it is a 4-year agreement, the 30-day clause allows for us, should things not be working out for us.
Let me just add to that. So the price is locked into what it is for that term, but that does not all we need is 30 days if you so choose to cancel at any time. Because there's no discounts, meaning, so if you did get out of the contract early, there's no, you don't have to owe for any of the discounts because there are no discounts in this contract, if that makes sense.
It's a base fee.
Yeah. Long story short, 30 days notice.
So for the balance of this year, for year one, the amount of the contract, given that there is a prorated credit, a credit for unused services that we have under an existing agreement, and this contract being prorated, the amount that we're looking at is $8,950 for the balance of this year.
And how many hours in the remainder of the year would that provide?
144, as I recall. So,
For the year or from now until the end of the year?
oh,
We, because of the ongoing discussion for, I would say, the last couple months with Cindy and learning more about Houston County, if you note, the contract start date actually says September 1st. So the moment this contract is signed, someone will be getting with Cindy and some of the other staff with Houston County and starting this project immediately as soon as it is signed. So for the month of September, you will receive the full day and then also the prorated number of flex hours as well. And during those initial meetings, we'll get a more hard schedule on what the priorities are. I specifically pointed out, I'm drawing a blank, the city that needs the parcel realignment.
Polka.
I specifically showed that to one of our associates, Nate Brown, who will also be working on this, and I had him contact Cindy last week about it, just to get some more information about the area. I specifically noted that area to him. I said this is priority one in terms of getting some GIS items fixed. So I said it was brought up to my attention multiple times from multiple county employees. So.
Is that a special project then? Does it have a special rate, or is that?
That would be included in the flex hours.
The 30.
We would probably not use an on-site day for that. That would be more of a, here's the area that needs to be addressed, and then we will work on it with those flex hours, and then keep the board updated. I forgot. I don't know if I mentioned the last time I spoke. I might have mentioned it when I spoke when Commissioner Arnold was in the room. We do provide a commissioner's report. So after every time we visit or do any work, we provide a nice printout with a PDF that shows all of the work that's been done with those specific hours. So that way you know exactly where every single hour is going to.
So there's not an extra charge for a special project?
No. There are certain circumstances. If we deem that a project might take, let's say, I forgot the specific number, but everything's a case-by-case basis. If we deem it to be, let's say, over 40 or 50 flex hours, to not eat up all of those hours for some of the other department heads, we might recommend doing that as a separate project, as to not eat up all those hours. The specific scenario in HOCA, though, that was already brought to their attention, and they said they would use the flex hours to do what's called a parcel realignment, where they do some studying of some of the specific plats, and then just do some research and get it cleaned up. Do you have any other questions? I do like to talk. It's part of my job. So.
Tess,
this agreement went through the county attorney.
I was just going to ask.
By the county attorney.
Sam has reviewed this.
In fact, we met and discussed this agreement at length last week. I say that simply because it's not in our standard format. So we went through it carefully.
Yes, Bev.
I have a question. And you might have answered it, and I just didn't hear it. So from September 1st, if they agree to sign the contract, how many hours do we have left? Or, I mean, I assume we're not getting 144 hours from
It would be,
now.
if my math is right, 144 divided by 12 is 12.
12.
So it would be, you would have 48 flex hours from today till the end of the fiscal year. And you would also have 4 on-site days. But as the relationship develops, it should be noted, there's some times where we will, if there's a specific project where we might need more on-site days or more flex hours, just depending on the project, we will actually sometimes convert some of those flex hours to an on-site day. Every client that we have that we do this for, it's a different scenario on just what the needs are of the county. You brought up the agenda item before me. We work with Vanguard in more than 80 to 90 counties. So that would be a great example of if there's any GIS work that needs to be done related to Cindy's project, we could use some of those flex hours to help out on the GIS side of things. And we work with, I believe your rep is Stan Mollers?
Yes.
Yeah, we work with Stan a lot in Iowa. So.
I guess I want to point out there is.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, that did. And then I have another question. I'm under the understanding last week, Schneider did some updates or whatever for the sheriff's office. Do you know anything about that, Mark? They were working in Dan's office, or we went in to use his plotter and the computer was working.
Mm-hmm.
So does that come off of the, I mean, I'm assuming the sheriff's office is involved in our 144
Absolutely.
hours. So whatever they were doing with that is already taking off, or is that a special project?
All I'll say is I know that was specifically referenced when I was speaking to our head project manager, Jeff Lewis, that I know he's aware of it, and he wanted to also, actually I'm glad you're here so I can.
Yeah, but that might be a question for Andy, because I know Andy was working on it, and I don't know how much.
I know he reached out to somebody at Houston County about it.
Yeah, I don't know if Andy requested Schneider or not.
Yeah, I guess I don't know the whole
Yeah.
deal about it, but I know it was for a few hours, so I'm assuming every time they update something, that will come off of our 144 hours.
Yeah, and that would be noted, as I was talking about in that commissioner's report, where it'd say 3 hours devoted to sheriff's office, cleaning up a certain type of zoning, like whatever it might be.
Carol?
I think they were discussing the fact that the address points that were put in may not have been going to the E911 system.
Okay.
And that was something that needed to be fixed, so that.
We are having some issues with, and then we've got some that need to be updated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like in the Crescent where the city is annexed.
Yeah, where they ban, yeah, correct,
So
Mark.
I think that's where they're looking at is the procedure that goes to
Yeah.
get that done, so that when an address point gets added, that it does, if they call 911.
In the Crescent,
And
in the
again,
Crescent, we have the township and we have the city. And the city has been annexing homes. If the septic goes out or something, then they decide they want to be in the city. So there's no real, it's hit and miss. It's, you might have 2 in the township, 1 in the city, 2 in the township, 3 in the city, So to map that out, it's constantly changing. It's a dynamic mapping. But we need to decide with their department and, us, how often do we need to do this? Because there was an issue where it wasn't clear, is this township or is this a city issue? Other than looking at the parcel number, which would tell you that, but not everybody, they're not all used to that or something, I don't know. And I'm not trying to judge what their job is, but we need to update that we need to decide how often we need to update that, and we need to put that into it.
that's a very confusing area. If you go out 25, this house is township and then their neighbor's city and so forth. I don't know about where you are, Mark. I think that's pretty well.
We're all township up where we are, but
Yeah.
across on the south side of 6.
Yeah,
Many of them homes are, if not all of them.
yeah. But, yeah. But again, that, I think, be good to touch base with Andy, because I talked with him twice last week, 2 different days, and I know that was his focus at that time, was to get that cleared up with the sheriff's department, so.
Both him and Mark.
Well, yeah, and my question was, is something like that
Yeah.
part of the 144, or does that become a special project? I'm just trying to figure out.
I guess maybe
The initial stages would definitely be under those hours. It's a prime example of the value in staff augmentation, and actually specifically Jeff Lewis, who is the head project manager for this, he has an extensive background in 911, E911 addressing. He used to work in Florida where it's just a lot of emergency management items. But I do know specifically, I know he knows specifically about this project already.
Okay.
I've been trying to, in anticipation of this meeting, I've been trying to, normally when we sign a staff augmentation, there's usually a couple months of lag, prepping for the project. But because of the immediacy of some of these concerns, we wanted to make sure that our employees knew about what the county needed right away. Meaning he will be calling you this afternoon, hopefully.
I think as we go forward and looking to see what the county wants to do with GIS going forward, it will be good to get all of these past issues on the table, say they're either resolved, are they going to continue to be an issue, how are we going to staff for it? So it'll be nice to have all that information together to see how that's going. And not to forget, we have the next Gen 911 update that's ongoing right now, and that will be completed by the end of the year.
I move that we approve entering a contract with the Schneider Corporation as the attachment for GIS services.
Second.
What's buzzing?
Your phone.
Oh. Sorry. Discussion.
I have, as you know, from the beginning, I've had a concern about entering into a large contract like this when we have educated people that can do GIS in the county already. But that's my concern. Yeah.
And I guess I have the same concerns as I've had all along. What department, in-house, we would talk to all the department heads, they all wanted somebody in-house. I went through a lot of meetings with them, and I was told over and over that they felt that they needed an in-house person, so I don't agree.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, I guess, looking at this for a one-year contract to see how things go, get ourselves on our feet, make sure that projects are getting done. I feel it'd be a good opportunity to go with somebody or a company that knows what they're doing. We do have somebody, as Teresa had mentioned, in-house that does have some knowledge on GIS, which is a surveyor. I think one of the big things was when we were looking at hiring a surveyor, it kept getting brought up over and over that we couldn't contract out with another county, and we didn't want to go part-time, and it would be hard to find, in that there was a lot of work for the surveyor to do. I guess my only concern is on a probationary surveyor that has all this work to do to make sure that the work gets done. I could see going with Schneider, make sure the surveyor stuff is done, and then after a year we can reevaluate if we could go back full-time in-house. If this particular arrangement is working well, continue with that, or a hybrid of the two, or whatever. I just feel for at least a 1 year getting on our feet, this would be a viable way to go.
Is this a 4-year contract?
But what I'm saying is, we've got an out,
We have that 30-day out clause.
and my big thing is with the surveyor, obviously being new to the area, or new to the county, and all the work that the surveyor has to get done. I don't want to overwhelm the surveyor's office trying to do all the GIS stuff and the surveying stuff and all that. You know, Fred, you look like you're about to talk.
Which is precisely why I made the motion. I echo your sentiments, and I've listened very carefully to people who don't agree with that, and I understand the concern, but I feel that way about it in the end, so that's why I made the motion.
Anything else? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
No.
Okay. Motion carried.
we got her.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all the business I have before the board today.
Thank you.
While Tessa's here, could we clarify the position in my office and
Yes.
timeline for advertising? Since we don't meet again for 2 weeks, if Tess is
Oh, yeah,
waiting
good
for
point.
a job description Bandy to come back, do we have to wait 2 more weeks to get it advertised?
Where, do you know, where we're at?
I'll
that
check
one?
with them. I'll check with Gallagher and Associates today.
Shar had
And find out
brought
with
this
that.
up at our meeting today and wondered if it was possible to, if the banding came back one way or the other, you know, she's saying depend on who applies, whether they're ended up to be entry-level person or if they could be, if they end up higher, could we just post it with, say, the beginning of an entry level, the end of a secondary level, say, and then place the person as they're qualified within, so we could get the,
That would be a good plan, except that we don't have that second level posting that has been evaluated with all the job duties on it.
Right, but my
So
question
we
is,
could
do we-
post an entry level. Here is from a recruitment perspective. If we post as an entry level, and then the job changes, our pool of applicants does not reflect what we are hoping for then. If we post higher, we would likely have a different pool of applicants than if we post entry level. Maybe not, but
That's why I would like it posted as a range. But I guess my question is, do we have to wait 2 more weeks? If
You just
this
want
comes
approval that if
back,
it comes back, just to do it,
so we can get it going.
which I'm fine with.
I'm fine with that also.
mhm.
I mean, I think it's necessary to get.
I would absolutely agree with that.
So.
Pending it coming back from Gallagher, go ahead and just get it posted.
Make a
because-
motion to approve the hire pending coming back on.
Approve a competitive search
Approve highway
for a
to
deputy
approve a
auditor.
competitive search for is it an assistant auditor,
Currently, it's a deputy auditor,
deputy auditor.
and if it comes back higher, we
Why
would,
don't you state it and I'll say it. So
a
approved.
deputy auditor to fulfill that conditioned upon, not conditioned, in alignment with the banding determination from Gallagher and Associates.
Say this.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Everyone understand the motion? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
That gives
Opposed?
us, I'm sorry.
Okay, carried.
That gives us the flexibility.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and
Not have to
it will help the
backtrack.
department out.
Yep, thank
That's
you.
way.
Thank you, Shar. I'm going to go find out what happened to that email.
Yeah, get on top of that, please. Aaron, good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning, Aaron.
Today I have a recommendation from the Planning Commission for the granting of a conditional use permit for a non-farm dwelling. This is another scenario where the house exists and they're seeking a permit for something unrelated to the CUP, in this case it's the pole barn, and in order for me to grant the permit, I'm requiring them to bring their parcel back into compliance. The non-compliance in this case was an illegal split that occurred 4 years after the home was built. I should note that it was not the current homeowner. In fact, I think this is 2 or 3 homeowners ago where this occurred. So the applicant in this case, Steve Elvers, has been very cooperative and understanding, dealing with all this, but because these permits run with the land, the problems with them also run with the land, so the owner needs to be the party that corrects.
And it should be noted, this was an issue that started in 1975 when that split occurred. That
The original split.
yes, it's not like this happened 3 years ago or something. I mean, this is
Yeah.
a while ago.
We changed the ordinance a bit last year to try to deal with many of these. The new language says that if a house is built and a split occurs 10 years after the house is built, it can continue as a permitted use. In this case, it's 4 years after, so if they need to go through the CUP to cure the nonconformity. So I guess today I'm asking that the board adopt the findings of the Planning Commission and grant the CUP to Mr. Helverson.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's all you got?
Okay, while I'm here too, I'm going to give you copies of this informational sheet.
Thank you.
This was distributed to attorneys and realtors and other folks who work in the sale of land. And we're trying to get ahead of this. In this case, it was something that occurred in the 70s, but this still occurs in the present. So we're trying to prevent folks from creating these same types of problems moving forward.
Okay, while Aaron's here too, Scott, heard anything from MnDOT on ingress, egress?
Just gave them Aaron's name and to contact Aaron, and that they were going to be looking at it. They were going to contact Aaron, possibly for like the complainant's name and the landowner's name.
Okay. For those that may not, this is the Erickson Mine driveway situation that have had complaints about no signage for ingress and egress.
Yeah.
And I would also mention I've met with Aaron probably 3-4 times. He's working diligently on the reclamation issue also. As mentioned, we have it on the books that there should be bonding, and Aaron can probably stand on his head, yet young man like you, but he's done everything but stand on his head to try to find a viable way to do that. An example most recently was, we'll issue a bond for $20,000, but we want $20,000 in the bank. Well, it kind of negates the purpose. I mean,
Yeah, it's not as easy as it sounds.
no. So he's still working on it.
We're working with local banks, asking them what would be required in a hypothetical customer who comes in and asks for one of these products, and that we want to ensure that if we require something, or what we require is practically available to folks.
Right. Say we had a flood and they needed sand from an existing possibly sand pit, what would it take for them to stay bonded for, if that happened, to grab that sand and make it a usable, viable option? It's trickier than you think.
I did have a discussion since we talked last with a retiree from Matthew Construction who gave a couple suggestions that I'll share with you. I don't remember them. I might share his name with you, which would probably be better.
Sure.
So, very good. Anything else?
Aaron, have you heard back from the state traffic department at all?
We've been in contact, but I haven't heard a final
Okay.
yes or no, something
You
is
have
or
been in
is not
contact.
required yet.
Because that's where I left, it was,
And I understand that can be a lengthy process. They said that sometimes that takes upwards of a year, but they're working to prioritize our request. Also, they typically do not get it back in touch with the inquirer if nothing is needed. They would
I
only.
was told they would get back in touch with me when a final decision was made as a special
And they've
request.
said the same thing, that they'll tell us one way or the other that, yes, we've made a decision, so we won't be kind of just hanging
not
if they
knowing.
decide something's not needed.
It makes one wonder
Yeah.
why a year would,
Yeah.
Maybe let me think about that for a year. Whatever, okay, thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Scott, thanks
I
for
would
helping.
reinforce what Jack said about the bonding thing. The public perception is that in order to get a bond, you pay a certain percent to the bank or insurance company or the bonding agency or whoever you're buying the bond from, the protection, basically. And in this case, it's not a percentage. The company is expected on a $100,000 bond that we would require from mine, the company has to come up with a whole $100,000 up front and put it in the bank. Now my question is this on a case-by-case basis, or can these companies use, do you know, mining companies have, I think, what they call surety bonds, a general overall bond that they have. Can they use that bond to cover the mining thing, or does it, by some reason, have to be a specific bond for a specific location?
My understanding is each customer would be evaluated differently by a bank. So I was qualifying anything I say, it would all depend on how a bank assess the risk of a customer. But if a customer has, say, a performance bond because maybe they also do work for large public works projects, that would probably mean that they're eligible for a reclamation bond. That's not to say that every single business that's operating in the aggregate fields would be eligible for that bond. It's some smaller companies may not be eligible for a reclamation bond that essentially serves in the same way as the performance bond would for a public works project. What I found in talking with the underwriters who write these is that if somebody is not already a customer of theirs for other products, for instance, performance bonds for bridge projects or road projects, that it would be very hard to get the bond as a standalone product. But if they already are a customer and are doing a lot of work with that underwriter buying performance bonds, it probably wouldn't be a difficult thing to secure the bond. But some of our smaller operators aren't working in the public works field. They're just maybe it's one sand pit, they're catering to dairy farmers, or they're catering to septic installers. I guess I'm taking care before I make a recommendation that we fully understand if we require something, how that would impact somebody who may not be eligible to receive that type of bond. It would all vary case by case.
The larger operators probably have the kind of bond that I'm talking about, and the smaller operator probably doesn't, is what I'm hearing.
That's a safe generalization, I would say. Yeah, the larger the company, the more likely they're going to be bonded.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope. Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks a lot. Mark?
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning, Mark.
Got all my gadgets set on the table here. Okay, I'm here regarding the canine agreement between Houston County and our canine handler, Lieutenant Tracy Erickson. So I sent the agreement along with the cover letter. I made an appointment with you to get on the agenda just in the event there was questions or something like that. Or,
I have one generic question.
yeah.
And I didn't necessarily see it on there, but is the county or the leaser responsible for costs of training?
Excuse me?
Is it the county or is Tracy responsible for training, costs for training?
It depends on what that training is. Some of it the county would be responsible for. The majority of it he would be responsible for because it's his dog.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, I guess, was if the county's putting, because I saw in there, you know, like if the handler changes employment or if for whatever reason the canine's not fit for work or whatever that they can't do. I just wanted making sure that we didn't have all this training in there and then all of a sudden it's like, how do you
the
get
initial
that?
training is up to Tracy to take care of.
Okay.
As far as acquiring the dog and all of that. There was some training that we send them to because that's necessary for basically the handler and the dog.
Sure.
To train together. Some of the ongoing or updated training and stuff, typically we'll let him go on duty, so we'll pay his time. Some of it we don't. It depends on the type of training.
Oh, I see. You're saying that some of the training. I see. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so it'd be part of his daily pay that he's going to.
Yes.
Yes.
Any other questions? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Hang on one second.
Uh-huh.
And then most of this, do we still get? We were getting money
Yes.
donated and all that, right?
Yeah, typically, at least since I've been sheriff, the donations have exceeded the costs. I mean,
Yep.
As far as the lease agreement and equipment that we purchased and his association membership and stuff. But I'm actually glad you brought that up. I've been approached by a group of citizens that have formed a nonprofit. They're calling themselves the Houston County Canine Foundation. Their goal is to actually go out and solicit donations to help supplement or supplement the canine program. They believe strongly in it, and a lot of counties are doing that now where people have formed foundations, and then they've actually agreed to meet all of the expenses that they can meet.
And then last question. I know we do with other counties. I mean, as far as certain dogs might have specialties in certain areas or whatever. I guess the last few years and stuff, it's not just, and this is more just for the record purposes too, it's not just Houston County that's always utilized. I mean, it's, you know, you might get called out or Tracy might get called out for other areas to use a dog too, correct?
Yes, he's been called in to assist like Fillmore County.
Yeah.
He's been called in to assist Winona County. Winona's kind of they've got a canine as well, but if theirs is unavailable, typically we don't call Tracy out on overtime to go assist, but if he's on duty, then we will send him. And it depends on the call too.
Sure.
I mean, if it's a critical call, then he's sent regardless. But Winona County will then, in exchange, come down and help us out if Lieutenant Erickson's off duty or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, it's kind of a mutual aid agreement type thing that way.
In Fillmore County has a dog too?
Fillmore County does not.
Oh, they don't. Okay.
No.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Okay, we don't have a second. At least I
Yeah.
don't have it
Oh.
down.
Yeah.
I thought we
Did
did.
somebody?
I seconded.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay,
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Action items. Approve claims, human service, and license center disbursements. Everyone's had an opportunity to.
So moved.
Just trying to find the paper.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Adopt Resolution 2017-38 supporting the Centec grant application.
I'll make a motion to approve the grant application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approved joint powers agreement between Houston County and Semvaset. It's a renewal. Somebody elaborate on that a bit?
Sure.
I didn't realize you were gonna do these right after that.
Yeah.
So when you said action items, I figured I'd stick around a couple minutes. That's the renewal for the, basically it's the task force.
The what?
The drug task force.
Okay.
The Southeast Minnesota Violent Crimes Enforcement Team.
Okay.
It's been, it's the contract, or, I'm sorry, it's a joint powers agreement with them, but it's the same agreement that we've been operating under for however many years they've been involved with that.
I'll make a motion to approve the joint powers agreement between Houston County and Semvaset.
Second.
Any questions for Mark? I guess I just have one.
Sure.
How successful has this been?
Are you talking about this year? Because this has been a bad year for it.
Has it?
Because of the delay that it took to get that position replaced. He's had some success in the last week as far as making some methamphetamine arrests.
It's my understanding from hearsay and so forth that meth is a real large issue.
It is. It is.
Hmm.
And that's not unique to Houston County, but
Right.
It's all over the place. It's just so simple to make for these people nowadays. And typically, it isn't like the old days, referring to even like 5 or 10 years ago, where we had a few people with meth labs producing a large quantity of meth. People are making smaller amounts. They're bringing it in from Mexico, of course, like they always did and always will. But we don't have people possessing the large quantities that they used to, unless it's an absolute, it's the ringleader, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay.
But people are able to produce their own methamphetamine and to support their own habit.
Thank you. Okay, we had a motion and a second, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Adopt Resolution 17.39 regarding aquatic invasive species aid.
I'll make a motion to approve, to adopt a resolution to regarding aquatic invasive species aid.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll second it anyway.
We get quite a bit of money from them, 26,000, which is.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent agenda. Correspondence payroll regarding the hire of Jennifer Eggy as Deputy Auditor License Center Clerk.
I'll make a motion to approve the hire. Which,
Second.
thought we already had done that.
I think I met this young lady this morning. She's a brand new one. Yeah.
She started today.
She was very enthusiastic, ready to go, so that was good to see.
Should we ask her about noon?
Yeah, right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Commissioners' reports and comments. Fred?
Well, the only thing I've got this morning is the One Watershed, One Plan meeting that I attended in Preston last week. And as usual, funding is a problem. And even though we've changed the format a little bit on how we deal with the water issues, why that problem doesn't seem to go away. And the state, i.e. Bowser, is having their meeting to allocate the funds that the legislature gave them to allocate. sometime in late November, I believe it is. And so the One Watershed, One Plan group decided to just simply wait until January, until that all has shaken down, to meet. So that we will, at least the next meeting we have, we'll know what we've got to work with. The difficulty in this is that we have in Houston County one construction project related to all of this in the Crooked Creek area. Should be fairly simple. However, that project costs over $200,000, and the entire budget for the One Watershed, One Plan thing for next year is going to be somewhere over 400,000, not 5, not that high. And then the year after that, the budget will probably be about half. And that assumes that Bowser is going to allocate its money reasonably equally among the watershed plans that exist. The reason for the next year being half is that there will be twice as many of those One Watershed, One Plan things in existence in the state. And so if they divide it up equally, that's what there is. Very nice program, very nice idea, but as this board talked about over a year ago, and I was at the meeting when they talked, I think they talked about it twice, being very concerned about it. I think Justin was part of the discussion. Is it going to be funded adequately? Well, yeah, maybe, but maybe not too. But that's where it's at. End of report.
Thank you.
Any questions? Frustrating, but.
Yeah. Teresa?
Well, we all had the joint public health meeting, which most of us attended, and I think that one runs very smoothly. Mary does a good job with the agenda, and we follow it pretty closely. And there again, she brought up about the cost shift to counties for funding. I had the state extension meeting last Wednesday, and that was very interesting too, because you really realize that extension does so much more than just 4-H. You know, they do so many projects. Even there's resolution on invasive species aid. That was all initiated by extension and everything too. So, and then we got a tour of the new Bell Natural History Museum that's being built in right next to the fair, actually, grounds. Awesome. It's just won't open till next summer, but I was just overwhelmed. There's a planetarium and a natural history, mainly Minnesota history. It's going to be really good, really good. We had a human service meeting, but that'll come up with budget time. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And I don't know if anybody noticed that we got a little recognition in our Minnesota County News, because they actually had me, interviewed me on my extension chairmanship, so. Houston County doesn't usually make the paper too much. So. And we do have to RSVP on that Township Association dinner meeting on September 26th. I think it said today or tomorrow, so.
Thought it said the 19th.
I tried to email that back, and my email came back, can't do that, fella. And of course, I deleted the notice, so I don't have his phone number. So if I could have a phone number from somebody.
I'll tell you what I do. Do you want his number, or do you want me just to call him and tell him how many are coming?
Yeah, why don't you
just
do
do
that?
it?
Yeah, who's all going? Everybody?
I think I'll make
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Dick and I will go, he'll come too. It's for spouses too.
Yeah, do you want me to put two for everybody?
Two for me.
Not for me.
Not, okay, Fred?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So there should be 9 total, right?
It's department heads too, but they're letting them know themselves, okay.
Yeah, I'll just call about
Just about the board, okay. Sounds good, I just thought, get that taken care of. And that's all I really had too.
Okay. Scott, anything?
Yeah, not much. I just, been talking to a few people about, back to, we had discussed last week about potential land by the trailer park, or not by the trailer park, by the Houston County Highway Department. From what I'm gathering from people, which probably next step would be, is to get a independent or an out-of-house appraisal done on potential properties for sale. And I guess, see if that's what we'd like to do next.
I think we gotta keep moving forward.
I could find out from different people who recommend to get appraisals, I suppose. I mean, I'm assuming.
Who did we use the last time, Justin? We
Locally,
had to do
good.
that before.
Well, we did it when we were looking at the Road building.
We had an independent appraiser, did we?
Yeah, we did. And I know they said that particular one was hard because there wasn't commercial buildings of that size for sale in this area. But this is just land, so I would think you'd get more people than, you know.
Yeah, they'd have more to look at, maybe
Yeah.
to make comparisons to,
Yeah,
anyhow.
okay.
Want me to go ahead and see if I can line up an appraiser to look at? And get an
I think
appraised
so.
value
We
at
should.
least, so we'd have something to
Yeah, I think
say
we should
whether
have
we're
something
interested
to-
or for sure.
Do we need a vote to enable him to do that?
Probably be a good idea.
And then we would have to wait till the next meeting, because we
Yeah.
shouldn't make motions out of this part of the agenda. So,
I would think, I don't know, just a consensus that, hey, go and do it. I don't
yeah.
know. I mean, if there's
If we can do it on a
money or
consensus, well, I'm
contract,
good with it.
Contracts, no money, well.
Yeah,
I would
you'd have to bring
I'd
back
have to
what
bring it
the-
back
yeah.
with who to
Yeah.
approve
So is there
to
a
do it.
Yeah,
consensus?
you'd have to bring it back for approval with a name or two names anyways.
So is there a
Yeah.
I
consensus that
think
we
there's a
just
consensus to keep
move
moving
forward?
Keep
Yeah.
moving forward, and I'll check out appraisers and stuff.
Yeah.
and see.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Thanks, Scott. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Other than public health, no, I was gone. However, I did like triple book myself, so I'm gonna have to bug out here just a little bit on budget stuff. I got another meeting, one of them's at Soil and Water that I promised I'd be over there before noon, so, other than that, that's about it.
And I don't, other than had numerous personnel issues that I met with various people with, other than that, Teresa covered what else I've been involved with, so, with that, I would,
I have one thing I should probably add that I forgot. Instead of going to the public health meeting in Mabel, I went to the department heads meeting here, and we had some discussion about the budget coming up, and I sort of gave my feelings on it without trying to represent the consensus here, and we'll see what happens.
okay, thank you.
Or could I get on already then for action next week?
You bet.
So we can, if I have an appraiser, we can make it.
Sure, I will put it down.
Okay, anyone else? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn this
Well,
I
portion.
think we have to just
Yeah.
recess.
Do we
Recessing.
just recess and then come back to the regular meeting?
Yeah.
Or, okay, let's take 5 minutes and come back.
I'll make a motion to recess for 5 minutes and then start budget hearings.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.